Today we're going to install a lift kit from Torch Offroad on my son's 2010 Dodge Ram. Welcome to Barn Tech. We're going to start with the front of the truck, and the first step is obviously to get the wheels out of the way. Next, we're going to pull the brake caliper off, and I'm going to hang the brake caliper up by a piece of string so that the brake line doesn't get damaged. Of course, I'll pull the rotor off. Next, I'm going to remove the tie rod ends. Beat it with the hammer here, and that'll get it to loosen up and pop out. You don't want to hit the actual tie rod end. What I'm hitting here is the knuckle that the tie rod end fits into. It deforms it just enough to get it to pop loose. Here I'm pulling the sway bar end links loose and getting the bushing out of the way. Alright, that ought to just slide out of there when we lower this down. I can feel it lowering down, yeah, as I do this. So. Makes sense because that spring's under compression right now. So. That's why we got the jack under it. I've been reading in Revelation lately. And, one of my favorite verses from there, I'm going to paraphrase it. It says, God's worthy of everything because he created everything, and by his will it continues to exist. Alright, shock should pop out now. Let's see, we need to get the bottom. The shock came out easily once I removed the two bolts from the bottom. I think all that's holding this is that upper ball joint. So let's see if we can get that thing popped loose.
That corner looks sharp.
Which corner?
The one that I've cut myself on before.
Oh, this doesn't thread all the way down. That's good. I was afraid I had a long way to... This corner?
No, this one here.
Oh, yeah, the heat shield on the brakes. I think I cut myself on that too. Probably when we replaced your front wheel hubs. I'm going to leave this on the tip of the threads to protect the threads when I hammer. But I want to make sure it's loose enough that once this pops free, this part doesn't spin as I try to get the nut off. Okay, I felt it loosen up there. Not quite finger tight, but there we go. Alright, now here's how we do this. We're going to hit the knuckle that the joint goes into, and that should make it pop free. Like a boss. Here I'm letting pressure off the spring, and you'll see it tip a little bit, but that's okay because the pressure's off the spring now. I've got to work the lower control arm out of the way here so I can get the spring loose. Well, I tried a different kind of spring compressor and it didn't fit, didn't feel safe. So I went to Harbor Freight, picked up a new spring compressor. This one feels a lot more safe. It's not slipping and hurting anybody. It's got these retainer pins in there, so I feel a lot better with this one. It's not quite big enough for these springs, but I think we're going to be able to make it work. I put the old isolator on top of the lift block, and then I put this rubber gasket between the lift block and the spring. All right, get set that up in there first. Okay, we had to improvise a little bit. Got a couple of ratchet straps to pull down the upper control arm and pull up the lower control arm, because as we were jacking this up, it was actually lifting off the jack stand, so we weren't able to really compress the spring enough to get it into here. So we're really close now. Got a couple of threads on this nut, and we're going to start tightening that down, and that should pull it all back together again. So there we go. That's the two rungs that we grabbed onto for that spring. So it's about one away from the top, it looks like. And on this side, it's similar. About 1.5 away from the top on the front side. Well, we finished up both sides on the front, but it's getting late, so we're going to call it for tonight, and we'll work on the back tomorrow. Well, I had a lot of fun working with my son yesterday, but life happened, and we just got the front finished. We didn't get to the rear. So today I'm going to work on the rear and get this truck back on the road. Well, I expect today to go a lot easier than yesterday. I think all I've got to do is unhook these sway bar end links and unhook the shocks from the axle, and the axle should just drop down. I can stick the spacers under the springs. Hopefully that's it. We're good to go. Just stick that bolt back in the shock for safekeeping and get to the other side. Well, that couldn't have been any easier. When I lowered the axle, it let all of the compression off of the springs. In fact, the isolator fell off of the top. So I'm going to stick that isolator back on, try to get that lined up. Get this shoved back up in there, and get the new spacer on the axle. Let's see, I'm going to have to raise the axle and get that lined up, but we're cooking with gas now. I just need to button it all back up. Well, there you have it. It was that easy to do the rear. All the danger and difficulty was in the front. So let's get this thing out in the sunlight and I'll show you what it looks like on the new lift kit. Well, that's going to do it for this video. If you've enjoyed this video, you can click on one of my other videos that's popping up now. God bless.